Okay, good morning. Today is day 25 of making videos as a human with schizophrenia to improve camera presence and get comfortable on the camera and to talk about a day or thoughts in the life of me as a schizophrenic. And schizophrenia is a experience with uh, an underworld or a covert classified operation that puts the schizophrenic at the middle, and there's a lot of communications that go on with the schizophrenic, and it's done to drive them insane and to discredit them, and or some other reason. So, anyways, so talking about these fires, keep going back to the fires, but I think these things happen in phases. So you can't really tell what's going on immediately. Stuff comes out later on. So I've already talked about how I happen to be privy to a communication system in which they're communicating to me that these fires have a human hand aspect to them, whether it be through laser from space or something, or laser from satellite, or some EMP attack on an electrical line, or someone starting a fire with a match or something. So, uh, anyways, yesterday, they began fighting a fire at this place called Mandeville Canyon. And the fact that it's at Mandeville Canyon means that maybe perhaps they're calling me a devil, or they're saying man itself is a devil. So it's like Mandeville Canyon. And so I think they might be calling me a devil, or they could be calling mankind devils, And so they were interviewing a firefighter up at that spot up there, and they were this could be communication by the fire department itself, saying like some man is a devil because they know that what's going on, and there could be splinter groups within, and they're communicating out at this point, controlling the fires or something, or when they have control versus when they don't, because they know that there's weather warfare and these winds get whipped up, and perhaps by a technology. They were interviewing a guy named Fabian, and Fabian is reference to possibly the Fabian Society, which was a British socialist society. And yeah, so they could be trying to frame the Fabian Society, though, by having a guy named Fabian come on and talk. And Fabian Society, though, was a society that, if I understand it correctly, was for a gradualist incrementalism in socialism versus revolution and overthrowing the government. And so I don't know where you would put some sort of crazy fire like this. Like, I started thinking yesterday, like, when you're schizophrenic, you don't know what is real and what is not real, and how much is organized around you and how much is not organized around you. And what I happen to know is that we live in a very tightly controlled society with weather control, with people control, with brain control. And it's very difficult for me to think that you could plan something like this without everybody really knowing about it, or without people in high positions of power knowing about it. And so uh makes me think, like, if this was planned on some level by like a splinter group or somebody within the government, or even if it's like not within the government, if it's an international or something, uh it's somewhat worse than 9/11, because at least the 9/11, it was done to a business park or something, and here it's done to people's homes. And we still don't know how many people died. That's the crazy part, is to think about like all the death that could be coming. And I'm just thinking through this right now this morning. So, uh, anyways, so they were communicating something about Fabian Society. Maybe they're trying to frame the Fabian Society, or maybe they're saying the Fabian Society is saying that man is a devil, and that's what he like the fire department is saying. We're not for overthrowing people, so don't blame us. And they're saying they're more like a Fabian Society of themselves or whatever. And then you have there was a guy named Brent Pascua, and Pascua is a reference to me. I think they're calling me Brent Pascua because my grandpa was named Pasquale, and Brent Pasqua came on and he started talking, and I think I was supposed to be him, and he was like saying like, "Oh, everything's going good today. I don't foresee any problems. We got everything under control, and everything like that." And I think he was supposed to be me because I was thinking to myself, "I'm not really hungry today," and so when I'm not hungry, there's no wins. When I get hungry, there's wins, and it's kind of interesting how that happens because I happen to know they're controlling the wind based on how hungry I get, and then if I eat too much, they control. If I'm hungry, win. If I'm not hungry and I'm eating over, win. So I'm supposed to be Brent because I think that Santa Clarita now is kind of like Brentwood because everything's like $1 million, and we kind of turned into like a little Brentwood over here, from what I remember as a kid. And so they call me Brent. And I wanted to move to the west side, and I wanted to move to Brentwood. Uh, I dream of a lottery and stuff like that. So yeah, and then as they were filming that Brent Pasqua and all that, and they showed the flag of America sitting in sitting there while all this burn was going on, and it was flying in the wind, and they were like, that flag is important to all of us. And I thought like maybe that was like some sort of like, is that like some sort of statement that they're making, like traitors beware or something, or maybe they're saying that, I don't know who they're calling a traitor, but I don't. So it was kind of weird, but yeah, like I say, this is kind of worse and better than 9/11 at the same time, because at least in 9/11, at this point in 9/11, we were already thinking about all the people we wanted to kill because of what happened in 9/11. And at least at this point, we're talking about rebuilding, and we're talking about community coming together. But it's still psycho what happened, and if it is, and I'm fairly certain that it is man-made. And so, yeah. Uh, okay, so I'll segue here into another topic, but I'm reading a book called The Rise of Wolf 8, and it is about wolves in Yellowstone uh, National Park and the reintroduction of wolves into Yellowstone National Park. And the book is, I guess, the main protagonist in the book is this wolf 8, and they talked about retracing wolves' portrayal, their negative portrayal, and where did that start and everything. And I was thinking, like, with immigrants or whatever, you have to retrace immigrants' negative portrayal and how did that start. And, I'm sure it started with some sort of random crime that an immigrant created, or some sort of feeling that somebody in high society had about immigrants or whatever. And then they started like, I'm going against immigrants. So, but I started to think, who's going to build these 10,000 structures that need to get built uh, with regard to this operation? Like 10,000 structures. That's, first of all, it's a lot of money to be made on the rebuild. Second of all, there's a lot of people that have to help rebuild. You're going to need workers, you're going to need construction workers. And so it's kind of interesting to think about that aspect of it. Like, this is a massive undertaking. Then I have to think, like, is capitalism capable of doing it in the timely manner? And once you consider that, then consider how the tens of thousands of people who are homeless, and you think, like, well, if we could do it for these people, could we do it for homeless? And I don't know that we can under our current system. Our system, and this is where I get into, like, the idea of, like, people seem to want some sort of different system, and from what I can tell, people want fascism. They want to be ruled by corporations. They want to be ruled by billionaires, and that's who they elected. And so it's like, I guess if that's what they want, I don't, there's not that many systems for us to go with. Capitalism has been our system for a long time here in America, but fascism has crept in and taken hold of a lot of people's minds. Then you have, like, communism and socialism. You have anarchism. I mean, there's not a whole lot of systems for humans to choose from, and this is largely because throughout time, rulers of these systems, who, when they take hold, stifle creativity among the population. When we think about solutions to problems, it's stifled, and you'd have to wonder, like, how. It makes me wonder, like, democracy itself, like, uh, just think about all the ways that rulers in the country have tried to stifle democracy. And so I personally like democracy. I personally think we have to do some sort of something different to alleviate the suffering and account for the environment as well as the environment of human beings, because human beings need nice places, and they need rest and relaxation, and they need exercise and recreation. And I'm not sure that we're getting that under our current system. And they need to be creatively free. And I certainly have experienced not being creatively free myself with all this surveillance abuses. And I know I've called for, like, that we need to have a lot of surveillance with, like, these fires. So, but it has to be oversight where people are monitoring the surveillance. And so there has to be some sort of, like, monitored system and acknowledged system that it is real going on, instead of having shadow surveillance where people can do crazy terrorist acts, whether it be through insane weapons or, something else. And anyways, so I saw a commercial yesterday of John Cena, the wrestler, and he was at McDonald's and he was wearing yellow and he was talking about the value menu and everything. And in the commercial, he was wearing yellow and he goes up into, like, the heavens afterwards. And it was kind of funny because I think it was like John Cena. I think the fact that he was wearing yellow is like a joke. Like, he's insane in this situation. Like, this guy's insane. He's going into the heavens at McDonald's, and he's talking about McDonald's in this McDonald's commercial. So I think it was an inside joke, like, McDonald's is crazy and it'll send you to heaven, okay? So don't eat that shit. And so, yeah. All right, I'm gonna end it here because I'm at about 15 minutes. So thanks for listening. Goodbye.